So is that that thing where we like go up and over and get the number?
Well, yeah, it's very much, I mean, it's a fundamental triangle question. That's all it is. Okay? But again, here's a problem. You're given an interval, and we got the A, B, and C, so you plug in your A, B's, and C's, but you end up seeing that your interval is interval from 1 to 4, right? F of B, well, F of 4 is 5, and the rate of change is 6. Average rate of change is 6, right? Okay? You haven't seen a question like this. Because the question is, what's F of 1? Now you got to know what the function notation means, and you got to know what rate of change means, and it's going to be very helpful if you draw a graph, because we've done a lot with graphs, and you have that graph as a point of reference, and if you don't do the graph, you're much less likely to figure out what to do. I would say you might well figure it out. I wouldn't be surprised because several of you figured it out. But the efficient way to do it and to visualize it is with the graph, okay? You don't want to just sit there and stare at the words until you get totally confused, okay? Now maybe you work through that, so, if you can, that's even better. But let's draw a graph. We graph our given information. And our given information says, well, okay, we got an interval from 1 to 4. First thing we were given. Okay? And F of 4 equals 5. Can you put that on the graph? Yeah, I mean, here's 4, here's 5, right? Here's our interval. F of 4 equals 5, so the point 45 is on the graph. It's easy to put that on the graph. Just like with the problems I was giving you over the weekend, I gave you 2 pieces of information, each of which gives you a point on a graph, right? Okay, so F of 4 equals 5, so 4, 5 is on the graph. And also the average rate of change is 6. What's that tell us? Tells, at least on this interval, the average rate of change is 6, right? So, slope is 6. Well, that's a pretty big slope, okay? That means if you go over 1 unit, you got to go up 6 units, right? Meaning that that slope is going to be real steep. So you got slope 6, at least on the interval, right? Now at that point, well, you ask yourself, okay, we want to know F of 1. What do we mean by F of 1?
1 on the x-axis.
Okay, well, let's draw a little better picture here where I don't even draw the x-axis for a minute, okay? Because this thing's going to, it's a pretty steep slope. So the slope is 6. So the graph does something like this. Here's the point, 4, 5. Slope 6. Rate of change is a slope, which is 6. So we have a slope of 6 here. Okay? Now we want to find F of 1. Well, F of 1 is going to correspond to the point where x equals 1, right? So we have the line x equals 1. So let's see, x equals 1 going to be along this line. Okay, wherever the x-axis is, let's say the x-axis is here someplace. So here's 4, here's 1, and now we have a fundamental triangle. slope is 6, right? And what's the run?
How do we know how to draw the 6 again?
How to draw what?
The 6, like slope 6.
Well, if you have a scaled graph and you've managed to anticipate everything, to draw a slope of 6, you go over 1 unit and up 6. That gives you a slope of 6, right?
Yeah.
But if we just draw it like this without worrying too much about where the x-axis is, we know that we're going from the point where x is 4. Well, that's at one end of the interval. We're trying to find f of 1, right?
Yeah.
So f of 1 is the y-coordinate here. Okay? So slope is 6. What's the run of the triangle that I drew?
It's 1.
Mm-hmm. No, that's not the run. X values go from what to what between this point and this point?
Negative to positive.
Again?
Negative to positive.
X does go negative to positive.
It goes from 1 to like.
Yeah, X goes from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
If we draw this picture carefully, that's what we get, right? Okay? And then, well, rise over run equals slope. We don't know what the rise is, but the run is 3 and the slope is 6, right? Rise over 3 equals 6. So the rise is 18. So this rise is 18. What's f of 1? No. But thanks.
Looks like it's about 4. Negative
4? Well, how high is this point?
That's 6.
6.
Rate of change is 6. It's got a box around it. It's not a coordinate. That's a slope, right?
Oh, it's.
What are coordinates at this point?
4 plus
So what's the y-coordinate at this point?
20.
I'm sorry?
20?
No, 5 is the y-coordinate.
No.
You know that.
No, I'm coming to it.
Okay? So the y-coordinate here is 5, right? Because this is a horizontal line, right? And the rise is 18, so what's this have to be?
Negative 13?
Yeah. You see that? That's kind of a complex bit of reasoning, so I'll probably give you a broken down problem that I'll ask you to do that, because that's not, it's a multi-step problem, but you see that you know everything you need in order to solve this. But it's a matter of putting those pieces together into a solution. It's like you got the building blocks, but they're asking you to do a Lego version of the universe. And you're not sure how to put them together, right? It's not that complicated, but you understand what I mean. Okay,